Welcome to the February edition of Trade Talks by Swedish Chambers. Today's topic is the German market, and today's host is Västsvenska Handelskammaren, the West Sweden Chamber of Commerce, where I, Martin Henningsson, work together with my colleague, who is head of the international department, Mr. Jesper Örn.
We will go ahead with the agenda. We'll have a quite intensive program. We will start with some welcome and introduction from myself and Martin. After that, some insights from our sister chambers, because this is Trade Talks by Swedish Chambers. So we have both our Swedish chamber in Germany with us and the German chamber in Sweden, Stockholm. After that, we will have some insights from Swedish companies on site. That would be Brightmill and Polestar. Can also mention that you will very soon receive a QR code so you can ask some questions during the presentations, and we will be able to look at these questions in the end. So please ask any questions of interest. But I think we will go ahead just with a brief introduction and Trade Talks by Swedish Chambers. We have approximately 45 Swedish chambers abroad, and this network of chambers, I would say, is of great interest for you companies. This is the biggest network of Swedish companies abroad, Swedish subsidiaries, but also representative of Swedish companies abroad. And also we're 11 regional chambers in Sweden. So this is cooperation between our Swedish chambers abroad and our regional chambers in Sweden. And just for your information, I think you should just take a closer look at these chambers abroad, because you have a great variety of activities. And if you just look at this picture, you also have a yearly report, which would be the Global Business Climate Survey. That would be a cooperation between our Swedish chambers and Business Sweden and our embassies abroad, which would then give a closer look at 40+ markets abroad and the business climate on these markets. And it would consist of approximately, well, just over 2,000 interviews with Swedish subsidiary representatives. Moreover, you have a great many activities such as different network groups. You would have different initiatives coming with startups and so on with all these Swedish chambers abroad. You could take a closer look at our website, and you would have contact details and also some information on the services on these chambers. And just very briefly, as Martin mentioned, each of these trade talks, that would be approximately 6-8 trade talks each year, is hosted by a regional Swedish chamber, and then we will have Swedish chambers abroad with us. But about West Sweden Chamber of Commerce, we're just over 3,000 members, and for all chambers in Sweden, we're just over 11,000 members. We work just as each chamber in Sweden with promoting our industry with different kind of services. And also, of course, representing you, the industry, being the most important industrial representative or company representative in different issues such as energy, security, skilled supply, international trade, and so on. And just looking a bit closer, Martin, at our services.
Yes, the chamber should be a natural contact point for any kind of business support. Here at our West Sweden Chamber of Commerce, we offer all kinds of different help initiatives when it comes to providing inspiration and ideas about new markets, business courses, training. We have academies in export, in leadership, in management, etc. We organize a lot of network groups. We provide hands-on concrete business support when it comes to market data and finding business contacts all over the world. Specifically when it comes to the German market, here are some examples of how we have been helping companies in the past and in the present with contacts and information about the German market. Today you will hear and be introduced to many more partners that you can speak to about the German market. But before we start, we'd like to again repeat what Jesper said initially. Please be ready with your smartphones or laptops by using this QR code, or go directly to menti.com and enter the code on the screen. This is where we ask you to put your questions to each speaker. We will collect them and pick them up at the end when we have the Q&A session. So give you a few seconds to log on here. And now we move on to the next speaker, which is Senior Project Manager. We welcome Ms. Charlotte Roggenbuch from the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Germany, based in Hamburg, who will now give her view of the German market, and with a lot of helpful information for companies looking at this market for the first time, and also for companies wishing to expand their existing business. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting me. I'm just sending a hi from Hamburg in northern Germany, and I'm not sure if everyone watched the match yesterday. I'm really, really sorry that we bet you yesterday in curling. Sorry about that. But I hope I can make up for it today with a quick dive into Germany and give you some hands-on tips about the German market. You can switch to the next slide, then I'll just say a few words about myself. No, that was one too much. Yes, thank you. As a project manager, I support a few accelerator programs for Swedish tech scale-ups coming to the German market. I've been active as a member in the chamber, and since a year, I'm representing the chamber as a senior project manager on occasions like this, but also on the International Trade Day in Gothenburg, and also at the Swedish Chambers International. Long time ago, I did study Scandinavian studies, so I do speak Swedish and I know a few things about Germany and Sweden, and now I will share some insights with you. Together with my colleague Nini from the German-Swedish Chamber of Commerce, we will give a quick overview about Germany, German politics, and the business climate as well. And first I will start to give you some facts and figures. And I'll start with some numbers that most of you already know, but that should be named to explain the importance of the German-Swedish relations, because Germany is the largest economy in Europe and is one of Sweden's top export markets. And that means that we are an important partner when it comes to Swedish businesses, and we are a promising market in various fields. Nini will talk about this later. Because the trade between Germany and Sweden is like really, really important for the whole of Europe. You can, in the next slide, see a couple of Swedish companies that already made it. You can see some big names here. And when you're planning to enter the German markets, you are definitely following a few companies' footsteps. But the most important ones today, you see on the very, very right side, those are Polestar and Brightmill, and they will share their experiences and their expertise. And I'm really looking forward to that as well. On the next slide, I will talk a bit about the current German government. To understand the potential of the German market, it is important to know a few things about the current politics. Friedrich Merz is our current chancellor since 9 months. He is from the Christian Democratic Union in a coalition with the Social Democratic Party. They are focusing, I could talk about politics for hours and hours, but that's not what we're doing here today. Germany is facing the same questions like other European countries, like what is Germany's role in Europe and within the international politics. And as Europe's largest economy and key driver, Germany has to take kind of a leadership role when it comes to topics like defense, but also global trade. So the current focuses of the German politics, when we talk about would be the competitiveness within Europe and also the world, and an increased investment in infrastructure and defense. But to remain competitive, the topic of digitalization and the green transition are also really, really important. And we will talk about these topics later as well. Therefore, the German and the Swedish government started the innovation partnership already in 2017, with some renewals in 2024 and 25, and the topics remain important. And we'll talk about a few of them later on. You can see them on the slide, and you probably also know that, but like really important topics in general, and supported by the German government. On the next slide, I would like, because I'm really happy that you already introduced the business climate survey to the audience, because it is also one of our projects that we're really proud of, working together with the embassy here in Berlin, but also with our partner Business Sweden and the Swedish Chambers International. We do conduct this survey currently for the 7th time. And last year's result could be really interesting for you as well. I'll get into that as well on the next slide. Like, the brand Sweden is really, really important for Swedish businesses in Germany. I'll get into that afterwards, but you can also see that Swedish companies in Germany are expecting a positive outlook on the German industries. Challenges, you might hear about them later from Brightmill and Polestar as well, so I will just mention them, and you will definitely face them coming to Germany, is the topic of like bureaucracy and federalism and the lack of digitalization, but also the difference in German and Swedish business culture. On the next slide, I will just so you see some numbers. My tip for you is you should not underestimate the image of Sweden in Germany. It is often, not in every case, a really, really unique selling point that you are from Sweden, because Germans are really impressed by Swedes, and they are in various topics a role model, especially when it comes to innovation, sustainability, and digitalization. So you should, when entering the German market, consider using your Swedish roots for your success. On the next slide, it looks really easy. I just draw a map for you for your way to Germany, just so you know what you have to do. Consider it like a game if you want to. And we would start like, do your homework. That's also one of my first hands-on tips for you when it comes to the German market. So before entering the German market, you should really figure out what is your USP in Germany, who are your like major competitors, and does your product fit German customer needs? The second one would be, how do you really have to gain inside knowledge, like how do you do sales, marketing, how does legals work in Germany, and what cultural and also administrative differences should you be aware of? And the third one would be, do you need to establish a German company? Can you keep your AB in Sweden, or do you have to establish a team in Germany? Do you need to open an office? Do you need an address in Germany? Those topics are really, really important before coming to Germany. And when you decided to come to Germany, and I'm sure that Lini will also talk about this, it is really important that you hire German-speaking staff, because unlike a few other European countries, the German language is really, really crucial for doing business in Germany. And you need people who speak the language and who are dedicated to manage the expansion. The fifth step would be to identify your customers and identify where they're sitting, because also, unlike Sweden, we are not as centralized as you are. Nini will mention that later as well. You really have to choose a geographical starting point to expand your business in Germany. The establishment process is easier when you have a Swedish-German lawyer who knows like both sides of the game, kind of. You can find some of them on our website, but also within our chambers. You should definitely think about creating a German language website. These are like really hands-on tips from my side now, because it's really, really crucial again to advertise in the language of the country. And that's my last point, should find local partners. For example, of course, the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Germany, but also Business Sweden and the Swedish Embassy, and also the Swedish-German Chamber in Stockholm, because it is crucial to figure out these peaks and perks of like how to enter the German market. And you can go to the next slide so that you get an idea of like who is part of this Team Sweden that we already talked about, because Of course, you have the local chambers that can reach out to us. And then once you come to Germany, you can definitely reach out to the people here in Germany who are representing your ideas of how to do business in Germany and can help you get more visibility. You can find out more about the Germany and the German market on our Swedish website. We have a website that's called Tysklandsportal, and if you go to the next slide, thank you, then you can have a glimpse on like what we offer there. You can find more about the regions, about like what we offer at the chamber, and we're updating it every time with like new articles from our member companies as well. We will definitely send this around afterwards as well. So if you don't manage to scan the code right now, that's perfectly fine. Just a few words to the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Germany. On the next slide, you can see me and my team. We have our office in Hamburg, but we are supported by 6 regional groups, which represent the different states in Germany. We have around 500 members within our chamber. From various industries, as you already saw on the picture that I showed before, from IKEA, Saab, and so on. The biggest ones are obviously there, but then we also have smaller companies. We have hidden champions from Germany, from Sweden, entered the German market, but we also have a couple of German companies that are eager to support Swedish companies when they come to Germany. We do have a junior chamber club as well, where we support young professionals. You might be interested into looking at that as well, because we offer support for them when it comes to like, how do I fund my own business? How do I do the next steps in my career, and so on and so forth. And we do have a business women's initiative who are celebrating their 5th anniversary this year. They are also eager to learn from like Sweden as a role model as well. On the next slide, you can find all of this on our website as well, obviously, but just a few hints where we can support you as a chamber when you come to Germany. You can definitely, through our network, gain visibility through various events. We just counted, and last year we went 76 events in whole, online, but also on the ground here in Germany, obviously. And we have networking groups where you can like connect and exchange exclusively within your field. We do have a member-to-member program. We support you with your press releases, and we have a job portal where you can recruit your new staff members. On the left side, you can see the fields where we offer advice, where we can refer you to advisors when it comes, for example, to tax, to law, and so on and so forth. Everything that you need to get started on the German market. And before I round up here, because I guess I'm kind of in time, if not, someone would have interrupted me probably. Some hands-on tips on the last slide. Some of them are already mentioned, and some of them will be mentioned later for sure, but I'm pretty sure that you can't hear them more than enough. One of them, German is really crucial. You should really not underestimate when it comes to Germans coming about their language. They're really keen on, even if it's just like the readings or whatever, it is really crucial that you have someone in your team that speaks German. Second one, do your homework before coming to Germany. Learn about the German market, learn about your customers, where are they sitting, where are partners sitting within Germany, because it's really crucial that you find the right region where you should set up your business. And like I mentioned, get to know the Germans and their business culture. There are some differences. We can probably talk about them later. And fourth tip is just reach out to all of us from the Team Sweden here in Germany. We're like really, really eager to help and super happy to be here. And then my last tip is on the next slide, because it's we will talk with Polestar and Brightmill later, and they have been nominated and also won the award as the newcomer on the German market. And we will open the application in May. So if you already entered the German market, or if you're planning on doing it, you can definitely apply to become the next newcomer on the German market. Yes, and that's it from my side. On the last slide, you can see all my contact details, but you will also get them sent afterwards. And thank you so much, and thanks to Gothenburg.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Well, I can just emphasize that the Swedish Chamber in Germany, it's a really important player for those of you, both companies being well established on the market, but obviously also for those coming in new to the market. And as mentioned, you have 500 plus members, and for experience sharing and meeting up with those companies for newcomers, it's of great value. So many thanks, Charlotte, for giving some insights on the chamber and on the market. And now we go ahead with the sister chamber, which would be the German chamber in Sweden, in Stockholm. And it's a quite big organization, I would say. So with us, we have Ninni Lövgren-Tischer, Head of Market Entry and Business Development. I hope we have you here, Ninni.
Yeah, I hope so too. Do you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yeah, perfect. Great. I can't see your slides, but I think we can manage anyhow. So thank you so much for this kind introduction, Jesper, and also Martin. It's, of course, always a pleasure to cooperate with you and Västsvenska Handelskammaren. And thanks also, Charlotte, for your excellent upstart. I try to do my best to continue. Thanks for having us here today and for turning the spotlight on Germany, our most important business partner. So when we go to Germany and when we go to Germany today, then we would discover, and we can see on the next slide, silly Germany. So it's no normal day for us in Germany today. It's Fasching, Carnival, Fastnet. We have different names on it this week, but it's quite comparable to Midsummer in its dignity. So it's no official holidays, but no one goes to work anyhow. Everything is really crazy, and that is just a really big thing for us control freaks in Germany. So strange traditions, but let's continue with reality again and look into the next slide. You already introduced myself, Jesper, and I'm one of the hybrids here at the Chamber. I'm grown up in southern Germany, but with a Swedish mother, and I've always been in the German-Swedish interface, and I'm really loving it. So now I'm heading the business area of market entry and business development here at the German-Swedish Chamber in Stockholm. And next slide. This will be, as you said, Jesper, the third chamber that you will meet here today in this short time. We are the German chamber here in Sweden. We're part of the German chamber network. And maybe just some words about that. The system in Germany is quite a bit different, even if we cooperate with our sister chambers in Sweden. In Germany, the membership is compulsory. And that is that all the companies in Germany, so approximately 4 million, are member of this network. And here in Sweden, our task is to promote and facilitate the business between our two countries. And since we are self-financed, we are totally neutral and bilateral. And by that, we're also part of the Swedish counterpart, the Team Sweden that Charlotte already mentioned. So together we work also for, of course, Swedish interests in Germany. We use our extensive network within the industry, politics and academia, as well as our well-known name to get you as companies started. We work very pragmatic and result-oriented, and we assist with really tailor-made individual support around all questions concerning your market entry and business development as well in Germany. The core is, of course, to connect you with relevant key contacts, but we also support in your first market evaluation. Together, we define the right entry strategy and target groups for you, and then we help you find relevant business partners and customers, open doors and book meetings. Also, we support you with legal services, for example, and I guess we will hear more about that later, establishing your company in Germany, just to see that you will fly, and also finding suitable personnel and employ them. We handle your bookkeeping, payroll, and eventual reporting, producentansvar. One-stop shop, you might call it. Doing this for the last 75 years with like 65 market experts here in Sweden, and we are in Stockholm, Gothenburg, but also in Malmö. We have a sincere understanding for your challenges, and we love to be at your side to facilitate a soft landing. So if we go to the next slide then, you can see this the German map, and you can see all our sister chambers in Germany, and you can also see this maybe as a symbol for our German love to being institutionalized, also some kind of cultural thing. And next slide, Jesper, trying to continue your excellent presentation, Charlotte, about the importance of Germany. And we see from a Swedish perspective that German market is by far the most important trading partner. It has been so for a very long time, but also an important stepping stone into further expansion internationally. So that, of course, makes it very important that the market entry gets right and succeed. Next page. There has been a long tradition in doing business together between our countries. Charlotte has already mentioned that, but not just because we're neighboring nations geographically, but since we have a lot in common. We share similar values and attitudes. We focus on development and innovation, and we talked about the innovation partnership before as a political ground as well. We are proud of our engineering skills in both countries and our inventions back in the past, and not at least now. We're on our toes, and we want to stand in the front row, being forerunners, and at the same time focus on quality and reliability. So these are values that are mostly important in both countries. And that's why we also share focus areas. We will dive into them shortly. We share the main industries and also market segments. So it's no wonder that German-Swedish trade relations are tight and increase even more in times of geopolitical instability, climate change, and digitalization. We have to become faster and maybe even smarter, leave our comfort zones if we want to meet these challenges. So consensus and collaborations are, of course, always a lot easier between friends and long-term partners. That we can see on the next slide, then the numbers of companies that we can find, the Swedish companies in Germany. We can see that there are a lot of them who have succeeded. 2 of them we will meet later on here today. And moving on, maybe on the next slide, we can also see, of course, this great potential in different areas. The German market, it has 48 million inhabitants. It's a great market and has a dynamic economy as well. It's vibrant and full of possibilities for you Swedish companies. And especially, and Charlotte already touched on that, it's the area of Mittelstand. Mittelstand is our backbone of our economy. You could say it's the middle-sized companies, but it's also something about the mindset of these companies. It's mainly family-owned, and capital and ownership goes hand in hand with a long-term perspective. And that creates a really good match, especially for Swedish companies. We have seen that in our daily work. And if we go to the next slide, we can also, of course, again see that the German market, unsurprisingly, also is tough and competitive. We are a federal country with 16 quite independent states, the Bundesländer, we heard that already. And even if we have central legislation, there's a lot of areas where you have to look into regional regulations and processes. So there's no such thing as one single Germany. And that's why we often recommend starting with one region, a region where you can see a good match in focus areas and your industry, where your customers are at home and you fit into an ecosystem that gives you your market entry a real boost. And here we can switch slide again and summarize that there's, of course, an enormous potential and opportunity, but at the same time, we can also see that there are quite some challenges. And I guess that our companies will dive into that later on as well. So just not to forget the legal aspects and the buying behavior, for example, and the business culture. But having said this, in being aware of the challenges, you can handle them and they will not turn out to be a problem. It's just a fact that you have to address. So let's stay Swedish positive and focus on some opportunities. And on the next slide, we can see some focus industries where we see quite some potentials for Swedish companies. Since we match, of course, and are quite similar, we can see possibilities in all areas. But in this that we have gathered on this slide, you can see specific openings for you as Swedish companies. And you might find yourself in one of those. So there's quite some traditional areas when I look to manufacturing and life science, but also mobility that need to reshape in their focus. But also we can see like areas that are like exploding to I'm not sure if I can use that term, but still the area of security and defense. And not to forget some interdisciplinary areas like lightweighting and AI, where we are really tied together between our countries. Here you can see a lot of great business opportunities for Swedish innovative companies. And if we look into the next slide, it's the same here to state that you have to look into your Germany. You have to look into maybe clusters that can guide your way into where to enter the market. We put together some areas that could be of interest for you. And as Charlotte already mentioned, you get, of course, these slides afterwards so that you can dive into that more in detail. And next slide will be, we just put together 4 areas where we can see a really terrific opportunity for Swedish companies. And we have, of course, to start with the defense and security area that benefits massively from the geopolitical turning point at the moment, and also, of course, the requirements for cyber resilience in Germany. And as a base, we have the Federal Infrastructure Fund that is quite something important for us in Germany. It's a catalyst, and we can see that there are 500 billion euros on the table for investments within infrastructure, where defense and security is one focus area. So this is one of the biggest areas where we can see a good opening for you. And also since we can see that that a lot of traditional companies go from traditional areas into this kind of segments. And we have the term of dual use that you all know and are familiar about. We put together on these slides also important trade fairs, and that is really important to mention as one tool to enter the market. Trade fairs are a really important thing in Germany. It's big events that you have to prepare very thoroughly, and every segment has its own, of course, and as I said, we put them together in this slide so that you can have a guidance in what could be of interest for you. We also highlight a few activities, and you can see them here. We have a delegation trip to the next conference already next week, actually, and also Access Germany as one program and initiative where you can start your business in Germany through a really thorough market entry program. If we look into the next sector, it's an evergreen energy and clean tech. And here Sweden has a lot to add to the German situation. We can see that hydrogen is very focused still in Germany, but also grid flexibility. We can also see that sustainable city planning is of really top of mind, and new materials, lightweight also, and water treatment is a really hot potato in Germany as well. And here we have, as you can see in the bottom, some kind of delegations coming in where you can meet German companies and see if you could match and do business together. Infrastructure, I already mentioned that. Here we have this infrastructure fund, and it opens a lot of opportunities for you. So look into that as well. And last but not least, a traditional area with continuous potential, not at least when it comes to driving of innovation and the area of e-health. Life science, here we see a lot of matches between our both countries, and we open up for you to see and come into the German market. These are just 4 areas that where we can see specific potential for you. And of course, we would love to support you also in other areas to put together similar dashboards to see what kind of potential is there and how to approach the market. Just as a little teaser. So, and the next slide then, before handing back to you, Jesper and Martin in Gothenburg, I just have to touch the cultural differences as well. This, of course, also could be a separate workshop, but if we change slide, I just want to pinpoint the importance of being aware that the proximity between Sweden and Germany sometimes can be misleading. We share the same core values that we mentioned before, and we're quite like-minded, but when it comes to conducting business together and communicating within German-Swedish constellations, very often misunderstandings occur, and that is just a pity. Just because we assume that we have the same mindset in working culture. But with us Swedes being quite informal, pragmatic, and in addition also communicating indirectly, that can sometimes be hard for us Germans on the other side to handle. An agile, det ordnar sig mentality is not always compatible with a clear structured process that is characterized by planning and control in Germany. So I think we will hear more of that from our company cases in a short while. And with changing the slide, I would just want to focus on that before you enter the German market, you really have to gain insight into the differences between German and Swedish business culture and just understand the implementations for operational collaboration. By remaining authentical and combine the both culture respective strengths in a smart way, you can make the most out of it, and even this combination can be a success factor. We've seen it and it works really like a charm. Charlotte also mentioned that already with the so-called Sweden bonus. So, moving on to the next slide, you have the book that you can order, of course, but then coming to the end, and the big question, are you ready for the German market? And also, I would like to conclude with some 5 very pragmatic tips for successfully navigating into the German market. Think regional. We have heard that several times already, but it can't be stated enough. You have to find your Germany, understand the unique characteristics of the region and the way business is conducted in the different regions. So start locally and build up from there. That is quite enough with this big market. And think niche, define clearly your unique selling points and find your specialty areas to focus on. And that might actually be different ones when it comes to how you work in Sweden. Be prepared, do your homework, and have a detailed plan be thorough with the details, because we're really into the details in Germany. Being prepared is the key to avoid unexpected obstacles. Think German and look into your business ideas through German eyes. Also think of the German language, we've talked about that before, as an important door opener, and seek help from a German partner to gain insights into cultural nuances and business practices. This can be critical to build trust and successful relationships. And we are all here for you. We make use of all these support functions that we have, all the programs, the events, and so on. And last but not least, it takes time. Be persistent, establish yourself. It will take time in Germany. So be prepared for long-term investment and understand that it takes time to gain the trust and the customers of the partners and so on. So persistence, of course, is always the key to a long-term success. And before handing over, just to remember, we're all here, all Charlotte in Germany, but also we're here at the German-Swedish Chamber of Commerce, the whole chamber family, and all the other players, of course, of Team Sweden. We're here to assist, and please reach out so that we can help you get started and also get onto the fast track to the German market. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nini Löfgren-Tissler, for valuable insights on what's happening on the German market and how to tackle it. Please remember, Nini and all the other speakers will be still online here for our Q&A session. So any questions that her interesting information has inspired you to put, please fire them away in Menti. With that, we move on to our distinguished guests and winner of last year's Swedish company program in Germany, the company called Brightmill, and I'd like to introduce to you the CEO and founder, Mr. Henrik Engstam-Fahlén, and executive recruiter Cornelia Norén, who will give an introduction to their success expansion story in Germany.
Thank you for that. No, Do you hear us?
Perfectly, yes.
Yes, great. Hello, we are from Brightmill and we will introduce ourselves. I think Henrik can start.
Yes, I founded Brightmill 15 years ago, and I'm the CEO. We have been working in Sweden for the first will be 30 years, and then we expanded to Denmark and then Germany. I'll let Cornelia present herself.
Yes, and I'm Cornelia. I'm a native German, born and raised in Germany, came here to Sweden almost 22 years ago. Therefore, I have a Swedish surname now, as you can see. It's a bit misleading sometimes. A lot of Germans think I'm Swedish and don't expect that I talk German, but I do. And yeah, I've been working in business, mainly business-to-business sales, SaaS, and business development in the last 15 years. And then I joined Brightmill, and here I am. Next slide, please. We can change. So Brightmill, what's Brightmill? What we do, we are a provider for interims management. It means in interims consultant, you expect someone to step in quickly into a new role. If you have a vacancy, if someone resigns, for example. For example, I had a customer in Germany recently of a big hospital chain in Hamburg. And the personal role, he was resigning, and the new personal chef, he was due to start only in 6 months. So they called me and said, please, Ms. Noreen, I need help. Can you get me interim HR manager? And we provided them within 1 week. So that's a typical role where we step in quickly and provide experienced managers into different areas, into finance, HR, IT, supply chain, logistics, everything. So we have been interim specialists for the last 15 years with a lot of experience, of course, with a lot of different roles. And our companies, as Henrik mentioned, we have been founded here in Stockholm, but we have offices in Copenhagen and in Hamburg. And we, of course, our biggest that we have a large network of experienced consultants throughout all these countries.
And since 2022, we're part of a bigger group, Brovikengruppen. It's easier for attracting top quality employees and colleagues. Next slide, please. So why did we choose Germany? As I mentioned, we believed in international expansion for our business, and we first rolled out in Denmark, but we underestimated the size of the market. It's quite a small market. So then we wanted a bigger chunk of our business somewhere, and we made a quite detailed due diligence for different potential markets. And then we landed in Germany will be a perfect fit for our business model. It's a large and very mature interim market. There's a lot of interim professionals that we could attract to our network, and it's also much better daily rates for the consultants compared to Sweden, for example. Next slide, please. And when we had decided for Germany, we tried to go as quickly as possible to establish the business. And even though we thought we pushed it, it took us 6 months. And we took help from the German-Swedish chamber to establish a GmbH. And in parallel, we had a Swedish, Finnish, German recruitment agency, Nordic Minds, who they both know Swedish business culture and work locally in Germany. So they helped us to recruit the first employees. And the very most difficult was to become a German bank customer, because when you have no company established and you have no history in Germany, it's really difficult. So in the end, we had our Swedish bank to be a sponsor, and we were targeting the 3 biggest banks, and then we ended up with Commerzbank, who are a partner with Swedbank in Sweden. So that was a really tough challenge, and that took also 6 months to finish the banking setup. And we also invested heavily in a German website. I'll talk more about that in the end. And also to get a jump start in the business, we have used Google Ads for lead generation. So the first 6 months, we had about 50 client inquiries. And that's not inquiries to have to get to know us or the business. That was hard inquiries for our services.
Requests.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, what's our key learnings so far? So the do's when you enter the German markets. Of course, the most important, as Charlotte and Nini already said, you need to have native speaking people who run the business in Germany, because you need to have the knowledge of the business culture. That's so crucial. And even if you have a good knowledge of German or have been living there, but you need to know the nuances, and you need to read between the lines so far. So the very important is also have a local presence. I mean, we have a hybrid business model, so I can work from wherever I want, Stockholm or Hamburg, but it's very, very important that you have a local presence. In our firm, we have this Hamburg address, we have a German phone number where I can call all my clients and also all our consultants. I have a German email address, and of course we have a German website with all the information necessary. So we have a German presence, digital presence and local presence. That's important. And of course, we don't sell any physical products. We're working with relationships, meaning we are providing services in form of interim managers. So what we build, we are building long-lasting relationships. Therefore, we need to have a presence in Germany. And that's for me, or for us, or me and my colleagues, it's important that we are also present in Germany through different network events, for example, with the Schwedenkammer or with others, and meeting our clients and consultants also for lunches or for meetings, important meetings. But what also is very appreciated of our consultants who work throughout whole Germany, that when they end, for example, an assignment, then we send flowers and we thank them for their commitment and cooperation. And yesterday I only received a short message from one of our consultants who was the HR manager at one of the clinics, which I just mentioned in the beginning. And she was so happy that I sent her flowers for this 6 months assignment. This happened the first time. This has never happened before in her interim's career so far. And that's a nice sign. So we stick out with small gestures like that, let's say. Yeah, and in the end, I just want to highlight it again. Don't underestimate the cultural difference between Sweden and Germany. I have the privilege, I've been born and raised in Germany, so I know how to use do and see, and when I can be a bit more informal. And now I've been living the last many years here in Sweden as well, so I have both citizenships. So I know the bridge between German and Swedish culture, and I have a foot in both cultures. So that's, if you find this kind of person for your setup in Germany, that's of course the perfect match. If you can't find this, yes. So then go for this. This is a strong advice from our side, to have knowledge in both the business culture, German business culture, but also have a strong sentiment to the Swedish business. Next slide, please. Yeah, what we also said, I mean, we also thought it was very important that we have a lot of people in the local. And of course, our local market knowledge is that we have all our consultants in Germany. This is of course crucial, yes. But then as we have all our central services here in Stockholm or in the central, and it's also important that you share knowledge and best practice with your colleagues, maybe the central services here in Stockholm. So maybe it's not so important that you have to be present all the time, all in Germany. Our consultants are these, but providing these consultants, we can work from everywhere. So in my example, I'm working mostly from Stockholm, but also from Germany. So because knowledge transfer and working according to best practice is most important for our hybrid model, as we have a hybrid model, business model. And then, as I mentioned again, we don't sell products. It's about recruitment and providing lasting relationships, and that's all about language and building up trust. And therefore, you need to know the German language and you need to read between the lines. That's so important. And you need people with German as native language and not. Don't get upset now, you're Swedish people, but not Swedish people with good language skills. It's not the same when you earn this business of recruitment or something. It might help you if you sell a service, a technical product or something. Then you can get along with quite okay German. But if you are in our business with recruitment, when you work with people and build up trust, then you need to have German as a native language. It's very, very important. And as Charlotte also mentioned, don't expect that English works in Germany. It's not. I think people get better and better now in English, especially the younger generation and so, but not generally. So most people then want to switch to the native language, which is German. So don't expect that English works. Yeah. It works in the SaaS industry, in AI, and in some industries very well, but for sure not in the broad Mittelstand. No. So next slide, please. Yes, and then we have been very lucky that, and it's also thanks to Charlotte and Schwedenkammer, who really said, "Oh, please, Brightmill, you are such a good example. You have to get, please apply to become the latest newcomer." So we did, but we never expected to really become the newcomer of the year for last year's Swedish Enterprise Award. But we won, so which was a big surprise for me, as I was in Kiel in November. So and we are still very happy and proud of this achievement and prize. So for everyone going to Germany now in the next couple of months. So yes, go ahead and send your application to Schwedenkammer and Business Sweden and all the others involved in this prize. And it's a fantastic achievement if you get acknowledged as a newcomer on the German market. And before that, we also won recruitment awards. Henrik, yes?
Yeah, and from Dagens history, multiple times, 4 times, I think, the Master Gazelle that we're proud of.
That we are also very proud of, yes. So the Brightmill way was a success by design, can we say. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so one major, I think, for us, the trick to get started very quickly was that we had a good digital footprint. So all new customer acquisitions was by building trust on our website. So we used a lot of international references from clients we have from Sweden and Denmark that we can show in German for recognition. And also that we use Trustpilot. I think many of you are familiar with, mainly from B2C, but it also works with B2B. And we are very proud that we achieved 4.8 out of 5 in customer reviews. And that builds good credibility when you're new in the market. And as I mentioned, we also use Google Ads as the main lead for lead generation, the main channel for lead generation. We spend minimum 20,000 euro a month in Germany. And as soon as we get a lead from the website, we get a text message and emails, even a ping in the chat. And then we make contact with the client in 5 minutes. And then during those 5 minutes, we get to know the customer, so we know and the role they're looking for. And usually that's a very good start, that they think we're very alert and
most German customers are really surprised that we react so quickly and so, oh, you're already responding, you're already calling, you're quick, wow.
Yeah, because usually when you're looking for an interim solution, it's urgent. And that's why also Google Ads works so well for us. Maybe your normal recruitment agency can't supply you with this kind of niche services. So then you look for a new supplier. And also that a lot of the big recruitment firms, they don't have the brand to attract the more, we have more senior level leaders or specialists. So then it's better to have a brand that is more premium brand to attract those candidates. And also we say that we have a good mix of being very digital and have senior recruiters that can do the work, like Cornelia. And it's often very, very challenging what they ask for the clients. If it would easy, they would do it themselves. But usually, we can solve it. Usually, we can present candidates within days or maximum a week. So that is the core of our business.
Yeah, and also what Henrik just mentioned in the beginning, that we work with Trustpilot. We ask our both candidates, the consultants, but also the clients within 1 week after the start, how they found our processes, and then that's very good. So good rates because they are so satisfied, content with the work and the cooperation. Thank you for your attention, and if you want to reach out, then you have our contact details in the end.
Thank you very much, Brightmill. And one can just conclude that you really carried out your analysis. And I think 6 months for entering the market was quite quick, actually. We will hear Charlotte and Ninni on that experience, but also that it obviously take focus and investment. We will now go ahead with our final speaker, which will be a company that I think most of you are quite well aware of, and it's Polestar, and their head of sales in Germany, Mr. Frank Mehling. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the very valuable insights, Cornelia and Henrik. Really interesting to hear from you how you started in Germany. So I'm Frank, I'm the head of sales for Polestar in Germany. If I don't do my job well, Polestar might reach out to Brightmill at a later stage. No, just jokes aside, thanks again for the insights. And if you move on to the next slide, I usually start my presentations with asking who of you in the audience has heard about Polestar? I think in this case, the answer would be a little bit different, because if I ask the question in Germany, it's about 1/3 of people who've actually heard about us. Means 2/3 never heard about Polestar in Germany. I think in Sweden, it's quite different. Some of you might actually have seen that building that you now see on screen because it's located in Gothenburg. It's our headquarters, and we are the one and only European EV, meaning electric vehicle startup. And I'll show you on the next slide where we've been on a timeline since our start. So Polestar might be familiar to a lot of you. We started out as an engineering and tuning company, actually acquired by Volvo earlier in this century. And from that, we've moved on in 2017 to becoming a standalone company, being a startup launched by Volvo Cars and the Geely Group, launching our first 2 cars, Polestar 1 and Polestar 2. And since then, we've evolved into a standalone company, being listed on the Nasdaq since June 2022. And we've launched 2 more cars since then, and we're not stopping there. So today we are looking at expanding our product portfolio, expanding our market presence, and also shaping our brands more and more. It's something that came out already today is that Swedish brand identity that we always love to carry out, and that has always been a success factor when it comes to our launch in the global markets that we're present in. How does our presence look like globally? So if you look at the next slide, we are now 3,000 employees, which is, by the way, not a lot for a car manufacturer, because you can imagine that you need a lot of people manufacturing the actual cars. Those are our Volvo employees, not Polestar employees. So we are still very closely tied to our colleagues in Volvo. As I said, again, Swedish heritage and a lot of knowledge that simply exists there. We are present in 28 markets. Thereof, obviously, Sweden and Germany, which I'm going to elaborate more on today. We have 217 so-called spaces. What is that? It's our physical retail representation. You could say our shopping outlets. That's where we present our cars to customers. That's where you can test drive them. And what we're especially proud of is we have more than 1,100 service points globally. That means you can service your car in almost every Volvo workshop, which gives you, again, a lot of experience and knowledge about the cars, but also a larger footprint, which is usually something that as a startup company you wouldn't have. And also, especially important in Germany, you saw all of the companies being present in Germany, a lot of global companies as well. We have over 120 global partnership agreements with large companies, also German companies like SAP, for example, which is good customers of ours. The brand has been built around 3 core values, which you see on the next slide. We're very much into sustainability. Well, every car manufacturer is these days, and probably most of the companies are these days. And I will tell you a little bit more about that later in the presentation, what we mean and how do we actually mean that very serious. Second core pillar is design. Again, a very Swedish, Scandinavian design language that we have there. And this is very much appreciated by our customers. So don't underestimate that Swedish component. Germans really like that. And I think this has been a success factor so far that we cannot really underestimate, because it's super, super important to stand out of the lot of car brands that are trying their best in Germany. You need something to stand out, and that Swedish factor is something that we really use. And this is also something that you see on the last picture, snow and very Swedish cars on Swedish plates. This is really where the brand comes to life, where we have that third pillar, the performance pillar, pointed out to customers, because this is something that's not really there in the market. So we are trying to fill that niche, performance electric vehicles, to get that emotion into the car, to show people how we're also different to Volvo, because Volvo, as you know, is very family driven, very security, safety driven, which we are as well. So we're benefiting from that a lot. And we're also adding that performance component, again, coming back to the heritage of Polestar, being the tuning and performance brand of Volvo. Our cars are obviously our products, so I'll give you a super quick overview of how we launched that. The specialty about that is the nomenclature that we've used. We just named them in the order of launching them. So Polestar 1 was our first car, then followed 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we don't stop there, as you can imagine. So we have a large strategy update coming up tomorrow, which will give a little bit of a glimpse into our future. You see that we're operating in similar segments than Volvo. We have an entrance car, which is the Polestar 2. We have a top-of-the-range SUV, which is the Polestar 3. And what we do add on top is a Polestar 5 Grand Tourer, very sporty car. And for us, it's really a brand on wheels, a brand builder, which is especially important for us in Germany. Germans are very performance-oriented when it comes to cars. And this is the car that will really help us to foster our presence in the German market. Talking about the German market, I want to take you along that journey today. So how did we launch in Germany? What did we learn? And I will come back to one point that I already mentioned, which is the sustainability point in a second. But before I do that, why we started in Germany is the question that I asked myself. So first of all, I'm standing today in Cologne, and if I drive 2 hours in whatever direction, I can reach 20 million people, which is almost double the population of Sweden. And this is just 2-hour drive from where I stand today. As it's already been mentioned, Germany has over 80 million inhabitants, obviously. And this is also something that we've considered. We cannot talk to all 80 million people at the same time. So really had to stick out with what story do we want to tell. And for us, the most important one is, if you enter a car market like Germany, with that traditional industry that we have here as a new entrant, as essentially a startup, then you have to very closely build your brand. And sustainability was the one point that we actually focused on a lot. And if you move to the next slide, these are some insights of our sustainability journey. So to keep it super clear, we are convinced that electric vehicles are the way to go. And we see ourselves as the challenger of the German automotive industry as well. And to do that, you cannot only say it, but you have to really live it and let people feel it. So we're doing a lot of things, but some of the things that we are most proud of is that we actually are super transparent, which is also a value that we're trying to carry from our Swedish heritage, about our CO2 emissions, because our EVs, they are not CO2 neutral yet. We need to build them, we need to ship them, obviously, and all of this is still emitting CO2, but we're super transparent on it, and we are especially proud of having reduced the CO2 footprint of our cars by 20% already. So optimizing logistics routes, optimizing the factories, for example. But we also say we're still not there. So we want to bring this down, ideally to zero. And on that road, we want to challenge the industry. We want to challenge them when it comes to new materials. We want to challenge them when it comes to transparency on where we get these materials from. So how does that work into our German strategy? Again, we want to challenge them, and we want to lead the way, take the industry along, which is only working if you know your brand and if you know your niche, which takes me to my next point, our brand and our marketing activities on the next slide. So how did we conquer that competitive German market? If you move on to the next one, please. We found out that it was super important to be digital. I think what we saw from Brightmail as well, you need to be fast, you need to be digital, because there is no way to physically capture 80 million people. And by the way, we have 15 cities with over 500,000 inhabitants. So there is no real way to only physically activate these cities and activate this population. So this was for us super, super important. We've done it by test drives. This is obviously very industry specific. We want to get people in our cars. We've ran events all over the place. We've always activated them digitally and then combined it with a physical experience on the ground. We've also very carefully built the brand, and we build it for clearly defined target groups, because as I said before, 84 million people, you cannot talk to all of them at the same time, especially not if you are competing with the marketing budgets of large automotive companies. So we had to define what are our target groups and where do we already see that innovation and pioneering spirit that you need to switch to a completely new car brand, which is then also battery electric only. So that needs some future thinking from the customers. And we saw that, first of all, the large companies in Germany, like all of the blue chip companies, for example, they are on sustainability agendas and they are very interested in new players, new products. But we also saw that the German Mittelstand, which was already mentioned today as well, is very interested in moving forward with new brands. So we target a lot around B2B and talking to the many, many companies that you have here in Germany, which is not only the blue chip companies, but especially that Mittelstand. And then in order to get to these people, you obviously think about how can you talk to them? How do you get known as a new car brand in Germany? One of the things you see on screen, you might have heard about Borussia Dortmund, the football team, which we are a proud sponsor of since this season. This has been really a boost to our brand awareness in Germany. So a lot more people know what we mean when we talk about Polestar. They know our products. And this has been really important for us. to still define these target groups, but also get a broader knowledge within the German market. And then last, but especially not least, the customer experience. So it's all about the customer at the end of the day. And what's so special about this picture is it's a picture from the IAA in Munich, which is essentially the international auto show that we have here every 2 years. And these are all our employees. These are not hosts from a third-party company or something. So we've been there personally, get in touch with the customers, which also resonates with some of the points that have been mentioned today by the other presenters. First of all, know your customers, speak German, and give them the service that they want. Because if you are a new player, Germans are always a little bit hesitant. But when they notice that you're doing a good job and when they notice that you are a professional business counterpart, then they will start liking you quite quickly. And this was so important for us and why we wanted to host our stand personally with our own employees, showing our own values and how much joy we have presenting our own cars, and not by a third-party company, because otherwise you don't get in touch with the people. And there's always that distance, which you already anyways have in Germany. There's always some kind of distance. And if you break through that distance, then you gain a lot of trust with your customers. So our customer experience in general, a super quick breakdown, and what we've learned from that on this slide here. As I said before, it's not only digital, it's not only physical, but for us, it's a combination of that omni-channel experience. We're currently present in 10 cities with so-called spaces in Germany. And you listened carefully, so you heard that 15 cities has over 500,000 inhabitants. So we are not even covering every city with over 500,000 inhabitants in Germany yet. And that's almost 6 years after we entered the market. Again, coming back to a point that has already been mentioned, these cities are widespread across all of the countries, so we don't have a less populated north and a very populated south like you do in Sweden, for example. But it's across the whole country. And that's why you need to combine it in an omni-channel experience and also understand where are my customers and how do I best get in touch with them. In our case, it's obviously offering test drives. For your company, it can be something completely different, more digitally, more physically. But for us, it's always been the combination of both. Point 2 and 3, also very important for us. Obviously, financing of a car and the digital experience, that needs to go hand in hand. And there also Germans are developing. But for us, the most important point was really car service, maintenance, and taking people along. Because still today, every 5th car in Germany is fully electric. And the other 4 cars are still with a combustion engine. So we need to take people along that journey, understand the customer group. And as it's been mentioned before, not because people don't want to, but because people haven't learned it in their past, you need to speak German. You need to take them along on your journey by speaking German. It's not mean by the people. It's just because they haven't learned it in the past. And by that, you get in touch with them the best way. And this is also the last learning, a little bit of a use case that I want to share with you on my last slide for today. Our space in Berlin, which is our capital. We've started out in the inner city center, like right where all of the famously known brands are, H&M and so on, have their outlets. What we learned is, well, it's great for people to get in touch with the cars, but it's not so great for starting your test drive and in the inner city center. So we tried something new there. And what we've learned is if you want to really get in touch with car customers, you have to go where car customers are. That's, as you can see in the orange arrow, slightly outside of the inner city center, where we've now started up a 400 square meter showroom. And we understood from the German people who like to drive cars still, it's all about the joy to drive. And it's not so much joy to drive if you start in the inner city center, your test drive with a new car. So that's why we changed our strategy a little bit. We moved into the car center of the cities, cooperating with large Volvo retailer groups, which really understand the brand as a great addition to their already existing Volvo business. Because as I said, Volvo is a bit more family driven, Polestar are a bit more sporty, so they really see it as an addition. And we also like the competition that we have from the German brands, mainly there. We like to present our cars So the message here is go to where your customers are and don't wait for your customers to come to you, because for that Germany is far too large. With that, thank you very much. Feel free to get in touch with me. I'm still trying to work on my Swedish. Since the last 6 years, I haven't managed to be fluent yet. So thank you very much, and back to the presenters in Gothenburg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mehling, and congratulations on your successful establishment in Germany. When I first visited Polestar company, it was a racing company, and it seems like you're still moving pretty fast. We have to move on to the next step of our program, and that is our Q&A session. You have heard 4 or even more different angles on how to deal with entering the German market. And now is the time to pose your questions. We have received one question actually connected to speed as well from the audience. And the question is, what would you consider being the 2 most things that a Swedish company perhaps hasn't done but should have done already yesterday? It's a bit complex question, but what are mainly the 2 things that a Swedish company might have missed when preparing for the German market? I leave the question open to any one of our distinguished co-speakers today. What would you like to say about that?
See if we have our speakers up on screen. Yes, perfect. See here. Sorry.
Nini, you got your hand raised. You can go ahead.
Just a second here. We have a question from our technician. Elin, sorry. Yes. See here. Yes. Here, like that. This is not. So? Now? Yes. Perfect.
Again, what would you say are perhaps the 2 most important things that a Swedish company might not have done but should have done when entering the German market? What do we tend to forget easily?
Who would like to start from our speakers?
I guess Nini raised her hand first, so go ahead,
Okay.
Nini.
I mean, from working with this on a daily basis, we would love to have like not 2 things, but like 100 of things. But to conclude, I think it's from the Swedish side, it's very much pragmatic, being pragmatic, and we think we have so much support to get. We have fantastic, smart people here in this round, and we have all these partner organizations that can support. So just relax and keep calm and make your homework and talk to people who can help you so that you won't do like the mistakes that you can avoid. Summarizing a lot of different aspects, of course, but I think that is quite something we can see, that Swedish people are very fast in getting into the first steps instead of just sitting down and try to plan the trip and the journey. So be more prepared and also dare to contact us, all of us, to see where you can get help and support.
Thank you. Charlotte, maybe you had something to add? Yes, Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to not underestimate how different the German business landscape is to the Swedish one, because you have like 3 big centers of commerce in Sweden, where you have Gothenburg, Malmö, or like south of Sweden, and Stockholm. Whereas in Germany, it's like really, like Nini said, we have 16 states within Germany, and they all have their different like focuses when it comes to the German industries. And you really have to do your homework and figure out where is your industry, where are your partners, where are your customers, and really like Polster said, we went to Nordrhein-Westfalen, which is in the west of Germany, because you're so close to the bigger cities and you can really reach a lot of customers there. So you really do your homework and figure out which would be the best location to start with. And it's not always Berlin. I have to say this to the Swedes, because a lot of them just start in Berlin. I love Berlin, but it's not always the first place to be.
Thank you. And I also think that question was in regard to the German economy, if that's something that you could answer, like the bigger challenges for the economy affecting the companies. What would these be? What would you say has to be solved? Because we do know that the German economy has passed for quite some difficulties. Anyone?
I mean, you definitely have to be. Sorry, Nini.
Oh, you first.
Thank you. I guess you really have to be prepared as well when it comes to the investment that you're willing to give when you enter the German market. So really do your homework and figure out, okay, what do I need to set up all the steps that I need to take in the German market, and make sure that you also try to figure out where can I get probably support from the German state, because we do have a lot of programs, we do have a lot of hubs that also Nini mentioned. So where can I find the infrastructure that really helps me and which is supported by the German government, by the German politics? So where you can really figure out, okay, I enter the German market, where are the people who can help me, and where can I get funding for like my business as well in Germany? I guess that's really important to figure that out.
And maybe to touch on that as well, I'm totally with you, Charlotte, and also maybe to swip the question. I mean, there are challenges, yes, but you can use them as possibilities and opportunities from a Swedish side, because we struggle a lot with the energy question, the energy efficiency question, also the bureaucracy, a really big thing in Germany right now, and for the first time, I would say ever, we have a clear focus on business and on the economy, and that is okay from the political side to support business. And that, of course, gives Swedish companies actually an opportunity to step in with innovation, with start and scale-ups, to help us Germans to maybe get faster in confronting the struggles that we have. So it might actually. Okay, this might be quite Swedish perspective on it, but see it as a possibility.
Thank you. Martin, I think you had some more questions.
Yes, we have today heard how digitalization can both be a challenge on the German market. It can also be an opportunity. And we have seen 2 successful companies actually applying digitalization as part of their export success. So what could we really say? Is this a fast shortcut to the market? Is it the main sector we should all jump into? What's your opinion on this?
I mean, especially when we talk about the German. No,
sorry. I mean, for us, this is our model. So we have a digital model and a hybrid model, and that was the way we, as Henrik mentioned, we did a really good market analysis. But then we thought the biggest potential had the German market, and we had this model. It was a proven model. We had a track record from another country, from like Denmark before, and then we jumped into the German market with that model. So, and it worked. Yes. But it's a hybrid model for us. So we are not dependent on some regional cities or something like that. For us, it's for we cover the whole German market. Yes. Charlotte?
Also, we had one question here, and always we talk about, when we talk about exports and trade, we talk a lot about goods. But maybe I mean, both the companies and the chambers, when it comes to services, would you say that would differ somewhat from your advices? Something special for our companies exporting services to think about? Any comments? Nini?
Maybe if I just would start, and I think that is something that you actually mentioned quite clearly, Cornelia, about the being German when you sell in that kind of category. It's important everywhere, and I guess that we heard that very clearly today. But when it comes to services, it's even more important to not just only to that you understand the language and the culture and the business structure, but also to be a German, and to transport it in a very authentic way. So I think that is even more crucial.
Good. I think we have to round up. It's almost 10:30, Martin. So we'll see here just very briefly on the upcoming trade talks.
Yes, this has been one of several trade talks that are going to take place throughout the year. When you get the presentation sent out to you, you will get the exact dates in the enclosed document. But just to mention, we'll be talking about Finland in March, opportunities with NATO in June. In September, there will be an interesting emerging market yet to be announced. And in November, there will be a trade talk Norway. And don't forget, you will meet many of us at the International Trade Day, Internationella Handelsdagen, which will take place in March, on the 26th of March, here in Gothenburg. And with that,
thanks to our speakers. So many thanks to Charlotte from the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Germany, and of course Nini Lövgren at our German chamber in Stockholm, and to Cornelia, Henrik, Brightmill, as well as Frank from Polestar.
and thank you to everyone who's taken part today externally, all our audience.
And please contact, obviously, our chambers if you need further assistance. The chamber here in Gothenburg, or the chamber in Germany, or our German chamber up in Stockholm. Many thanks for today.
Good luck on the German market.